to all the moms. Moms of children who are still at home or all grown up. Moms who've outlived a son or daughter. Or moms of babies they never got to hold. Moms who've raised kids all on their own or became a mom to someone who needed one. Moms of children who have wandered from God, or the longing to be moms who are still waiting. God perfectly arranged each of you into the role you have today. His word recognizes you as capable, strong, and praiseworthy. Everything you do makes our lives more beautiful. Happy Mother's Day.
Hi mamas, it's Pastor Carolyn here, and I am wishing you a happy Mother's Day. From me, your church mama. I just am so grateful, thankful to be here with you, and I just also want to speak to moms, women, who today is a very difficult day for you. It's supposed to be a day of celebration with your family, with your mom, but some people have lost a child or they have a wayward child. They've lost their mom or their mom is estranged from them. So it is a very tough day to get through. But I want you to know that you are not alone, that we are here for you, that you can just reach out and know that we'll get you through it. We'll help you. We love you. You are so very loved. Well, another year has gone by with us in a pandemic. We are in lockdown again. Cannot believe it. It is very trying, very challenging. We all are in the same boat. At least people keep saying that. But we all have a different story. We all have a different journey. We all have different trials, different challenges that are difficult to face. Some are bemoaning, some are whining, some are complaining about all of this. And it's understandable. These are very, very rough times. And it's over a year now, and we are still struggling. And mamas, I know that you have so much on your plate, and your children are now your students in most cases. You have more scheduling to do and more planning to put together. And it is exhausting. I can't even imagine. I don't have young children at home anymore, so I cannot even imagine what you are going through. The trying to balance everything on top of also now having your children home all the time. God bless you. Know that we are praying for you. I am thinking about you often. Some of you I'm able to reach out to. We know each other, and I just, you know what? You're still here, and God is still God, and He is going to walk you through this. But I still want to encourage you. You need to take care of yourself. You need to take care of your physical being. You need to take care of your mental health. You need to take care of your spiritual health. And that's what I'm here today. I want to encourage you. I want you to know that we're in it together, but we also have our own different challenges and trials. But God, at the end of all of this, is seeing you through. He is going to restore to you all that you feel like you have lost and you have lacked. I promise you that. He sees your journey. He knows your story. And whether it's heartache or you have peace, at the end of the day, the truth is He promises that He will bring restoration to all of your circumstances and to your life and to your family. He's done it in His Word many, many times. And I want to talk to you today about one particular woman who at the beginning of the story is not a mother, and then she becomes a mother, and how she shifts, she changes, she deals with this situation. The Shunammite woman. So forgive me, but I am going to paraphrase the story for you. It is found in 2 Kings 4. We read about a woman who is well off. Her husband is an owner of many lands, and she is content with her life. She lives in a city that she loves the people and her community. She is from Shunem, and she is respectful. She is honoring. She is hospitable. She is generous, kind of like the Proverbs 31 woman, but we really don't talk about the Shunammite woman all that much. So I just wanted to talk about her because of the way she sees her life. She is a woman full of faith, and she is ready to serve God by serving others. She's pretty amazing, actually. And so she is connected with Elisha. Elisha comes through her town quite frequently. And so she serves him a meal and, invites her into her home and gives him refreshment. So because it happened frequently, she approaches her husband and she says, I'd like to make a room for him. I'd like to put a bed in it. I want a table and I want a lamp. I want him to be comfortable when he comes. I want him to be able to rest and maybe even sleep if he needs to. So apparently her husband agrees because that's what she does. She sets up this lovely place for Elisha for when he comes back. So lo and behold, he returns. And then he sees this lovely, generous, comfortable, thoughtful room that she has set before him. And so he wants to do something for her too. So he asks her, what can I do for you? He's willing to go to the king or the captain of the armies. I mean, that's pretty influential, but she is so content with her life. And she says, no, I don't need anything. Amazing. To be that content with your life. So anyways, she's leaves, I guess, and he says to his servant who travels with him, Gehazi, he says to him, what can we do for her? And Gehazi says to him, well, she doesn't have a son, and her husband is quite old. So Elisha sends for her again, and she comes and she stands in the doorway, and he says, this time next year, you are going to have a son. Well, she's content with her life, but clearly she doesn't have a son, and most women, we can assume, would like to have children. But instead of saying to him, oh, thank you, or oh, please, or anything like that, she says, oh, my Lord, she says, please do not deceive your handmaiden. So to me, it's like she doesn't want to get her hopes up. She wants a baby. I think she really wants a baby, but she's like, don't deceive me. Don't lie to me. Don't play around with this. And lo and behold, the following season, she has a son. So years go by, and there's a situation where her son is in the field. So he's old enough to be in the field. We don't know his exact age, but he's old enough to be in the field, and he goes up to his father, and he says, oh, my head, my head. So I don't know, did he not have a hat on? Is he having sunstroke? We don't know. But the father says to a servant, take him to his mother. So off they go and they take him to his mother. Now he's young enough to sit on his mother's lap. So again, we don't know how old he is. He can work in the field, but he sits on his mother's lap. So while on his mother's lap, he just up and dies. Well, I don't know about you, but I would totally freak out. I would be screaming and wailing and running out to my husband and letting everybody know that my son has died. This woman is so full of faith and so full of self-control. She takes her child and she puts him on Elisha's bed. Not her own bed, but on Elisha's bed. She closes the door and she walks outside to her husband and does not tell her husband that their child is dead. What? Why wouldn't you tell him? But she says to him, I need a servant and I need a donkey. Because, oh, by the way, I'm going to see the prophet Elisha. So she says to her husband, it will be well. So the husband is, why are you going to see the prophet? It's not the new moon. It's not the Sabbath. He finds it very strange. But nonetheless, obviously, he trusts his wife and gives her a donkey and a servant. And she starts her journey. And I'm sitting there going, while I'm reading this, well, I hope he is a very fast donkey because your baby is dead. So hurry up, okay? So off she goes on this journey. Elisha sees her afar off. Interesting that he would recognize her. But he sees her afar off and he sends his servant to greet her to say, go ask her, is it well with her family? Is it well with her husband? Is it well with her son? Okay? So he gets to her and he says all of these things and she says, it is well. Did you catch that? Here she says it is well, but with her husband she says it will be well. Her faith is growing. I believe that before she even reached the prophet, that she already knew that God was going to take care of this. There was no anticipation. She just knew that it will be done. It is well. So she does reach the prophet and she grabs a hold of his feet and she's humble now and she's desperate. The servant tries to move her away from his feet. But Elisha stops him and says that she is distressed, but that the Lord has hid this from me. Now, I'm not sure why the Lord had hid it from Elisha. There are times where God doesn't show us everything that we need to know or we want to know, because I really, truly believe that has to do with our faith. We need to have faith in God. And we need to trust him. Not to say that Elisha didn't know that God had hid it from him because he needed to trust God. But I think this was for the woman. Right away, she starts at Elijah and says, did I ask for a son? Did I not say, do not deceive me? How many of us, when things are not going well with us, we have tragedy, we're going through something, that we blame someone else. We turn the tables, if you will. I think sometimes as we're in this pandemic, there are a lot of finger pointing and a lot of blame on why things are the way they are. And even within our own homes, we need to really just step back and realize that some things we just cannot blame people. We should not be blaming people for things. We need to just ask God to help us through it and build up our faith and get our strength back rather than blaming people. But obviously this woman was under a lot of stress, and that's what happens to us. And we need to really assess ourselves and try and find the contentment that she had earlier on. But you see how she has shifted now from being a woman of contentment and a woman of faith, and she's still all of those things, but now her child is involved. She's a mama bear. She is like, no, there's something has to be done here. And every mother is going to do that. She is going to do whatever it takes to protect, to help our child, your child. She's clearly expressing herself out of her distress, and she knows that he is the one that started all of this. But she throws herself at his feet, which is probably what I would have done first, out of sheer terror and shock and panic. She throws herself at his feet. She's obviously heartbroken, and she is just at a place where she doesn't know what to do. But she is not giving up. She wants her miracle. She wants to press through all of the darkness and the negativity that this pandemic, oh wait, the pandemic is ours, not hers. But she is going through all of this, and she wants to press through. And this is what we need to do as well. We need to press through all the negativity. We need to press through all of the darkness. We need to press through all of this ridiculousness, if you will. And we just need to get a hold of God. We need to get a hold of our faith. And this is what she was doing. She knows that God is going to get her through this. So Elisha now instructs the servant to go to her son and lay his staff on his face. And he tells him on the way, listen, don't greet people. Don't get distracted with people if people start talking to you. Do not engage in idle chit chat, because there is a sense of urgency here. And so he's saying, don't be interrupted. So we too can be very distracted when we have a mission to do. Sometimes these interruptions come even just when we want to have our devotional time. So you know what I mean, the phone rings, or we start thinking about what to cook for dinner. And of course your child at that time is going to need something, as long as your spouse. We need to remind ourselves, just as Elijah did, to not get distracted or interrupted. We need to focus at the project at hand, at the mission at hand. We need to focus on God and what He expects from us. So, however, sending the servant is not enough for this woman. She says, oh, no. She says to the prophet, I am not leaving here without you. In other words, you are coming with me. So they do leave together to go see her son. And she is not letting up. Remember I said she's a mama bear? She is like a dog with a bone. It's like, you are not staying here while I go home. You're coming with me. So off they go on the journey. Halfway there, Gehazi, his servant, returns. And he gives them the sad news that it didn't work putting the staff on the boy. He is still asleep. I'm like, asleep? The dude is dead. Like, what are you talking about? Why are you saying asleep? Just keep going. So they just keep going, and she's not lost any hope, though. She just keeps on going. Her faith remains, and she's like, this is about my child. We're going to go. They arrive at the house, and Elisha goes in, and he shuts the door, and he starts praying. Now, personally, I would be outside the door, laying on the floor, looking under the crack in between the floor and the door and listening, or I would be wailing somewhere, okay? Crying out to God. But she doesn't. At least they don't say that she is. So now Elisha's in the room, and he lays on the boy, and he puts mouth to mouth. So like in a resuscitation, he puts eye to eye. I'm not sure how that looks. Maybe it's just really close. I don't know. I couldn't figure it out, but it's in the Bible. And he puts hands to hands, and he stretches himself out on the boy. Okay, so a little side note. So I'm reading this and I'm visualizing it in my head. So I'm thinking, I really hope that Elisha is a small man, that he's not a big, burly guy, because this is just a boy. Sorry, but that was just in my head. I'm like, what? I hope he's a little guy, because anyways, he's just a little boy. So Elisha now leaves the room and he starts pacing. I'm like, what? Why are you pacing? Get back in there. The baby is, he's still dead. Like, why are you pacing? But he starts pacing. Then he goes back inside and he stretches out again across the boy, and the boy sneezes 7 times and opens his eyes. He is restored back to life. Restored back to life. Elisha tells his servant to now go and get the mother. I'm like, hello? What? I'm reading this. I'm like, where is she? Why does he have to go get her? Wouldn't she be like right outside the door? Or has she now decided, oh, well, I'm going to go and make Elisha a meal like I usually do? But that's her faith, because she knows what's going to happen. She doesn't doubt it. She knows that Elisha, a man of God, God's power is in him, that it will be well, or that it is well. Amazing, amazing woman of faith. I'm very impressed with her. I say, Lord, let my faith be that strong. Let our faith be that strong that we can go about our daily duties when something tragic is happening and know that God is going to take care of it. Not fret, not let our emotions get carried away. I have to be honest, I am not that woman. I let my emotions get the best of me, but not this woman. I just want to say that we serve a God who is in the restoration business. He, in the Bible, has so many places where he has restored people. There are 136 Bible scriptures that mention restore or restoration. And I'm not going to read them all to you, so just relax. But I do want to say to you that in our current situation, yes, we all have different trials that we are facing. Let me just say this to you. Psalm 23, he restores your soul. Psalm 51, he restores the joy of your salvation. Psalm 71, he will restore your life again. Jeremiah 30, he says, I will restore you to health. Joel 2, I will restore what the worm has devoured. Zechariah 9, I declare that I will restore double to you. You are worth his restoration. Life has thrown us a curveball. Hey, mamas, we're in like a washing machine, and it just keeps going, and the clothes get muddled and tangled, but we are back in isolation, and Satan has added fears and sadness to this whole mess. But I'm here to remind you that God's promises are to restore you. He's going to restore you in your faith. He will restore your strength. He will restore your children. He will restore your marriages. He will restore your health. He will restore your finances. And he will turn your mourning into dancing. To restore something means to bring it back to its original state. But in biblical terms, it's not just restoring it back to its original state, but better and stronger and brighter and beautiful, full of life, and it is always in abundance. God's promises to us is a better way, a better life, a better future for ourselves and for our families. Mamas, I want you to remember that you are precious, that you are valuable, that you are mighty, that you have worth, that you are gifted. You are created by God Himself, and He calls you by name. You are not forgotten. You are not alone. And all of these things will be restored. In all of this havoc, in all of this turmoil, I want you to remember, but God, and He will restore it for you. He is our strong tower. He is your refuge. He is your hiding place so that you can go and rest and get strength from Him. He is going to give you the restoration that you need. Yes, even in these troubled days, even in your current circumstances, remember Psalm 51:12. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation and renew a right spirit within me. I want you to remember to focus on not being distracted and getting through this pandemic. Remember your purpose. Remember your faith. Remember that He will restore all in abundance. And remember to proclaim and confess, it is well. I love you, mamas. I bless you. Enjoy the rest of your Mother's Day. And know that you are loved. Be well and be safe.